To see my exclusive content, visit ChrissyVIP at ChrissyOnline.com and be sure to join the mailing list for updates on future videos. The links are in the description box. Please like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Hello. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I'm using a different mic. Some of you had some complaints about the last one. You said I was smacking too much in my last video. So just let me know if I'm doing that in this video. I hate to do that to do that myself, and sometimes I don't catch myself. So, just let me know if I'm doing it too much, and then I'll stop. And also let me know how you like the mic. Great. So, as you can see by the title, and I know I'm going to get dragged for this. I always get dragged when I talk about trans women. Always. Am I too loud? Let me know if I'm too loud. But I want to give my thoughts about this just hilarious trans woman debacle. And y'all know I've done several videos on trans women in the past. I've gotten dragged up and down the internet for them. And of course, I took some screenshots just in case some of y'all forgot. Let me share my screen. Yeah, so these are some of the videos I did about trans women in the past. And let me tell you, Black women, I'm very proud of you. We have come a very, very, very long way because Black women are finally starting to say the things that I said back then. I told Black women years ago that we were being way too inclusive with trans women, and it's causing them to overstep their boundaries. I told y'all that when you include everyone in your spaces, your plight will eventually be minimized and pushed to the bottom. Not only that, but the very same marginalized groups that you help to fight for in your all-inclusive spaces, I told you that they will eventually attempt to undermine you and replace you. And look, trans women can lie and say they aren't doing that, but they absolutely are. And this situation and their response to this situation proves that. And I'm going to break it down in this video. So sit tight. First, let me go ahead and play the Just Hilarious video. Hopefully you guys can hear it. I'm actually going to, I'm about to get a new computer because remember the last time when I clowned y'all for saying you couldn't hear the video? Well, it was low. And I think it's my computer speakers. So just bear with me until I get a new computer. It's long overdue. I need a new computer. Let's see. Where is it? Here it is.
What I mean when the transphobia just comes out, the audacity and just the arrogance for cis women to believe that they own periods, that they own womanhood. You don't. Okay, you don't own periods. You don't own womanhood. You experience both, and both are different for every person. But as a cis woman, it doesn't belong to you, so you can't keep it. Like, hello.
Who the fuck is gonna stand up for us? Who the fuck stands up for us? And us, I mean women, real women, biological women, women who were born with all the parts that you guys wish that you were. When does the delusion stop? What is the difference between you and someone who has been diagnosed to be mentally insane? What's the only difference is you don't have a straitjacket on. Stop talking out your fucking ass. Wake up. How are you projecting your anger on real women? Because we are the gatekeepers. We are the gatekeepers for periods. We the only one that fucking bleed, honey. We the only ones that can give birth. We make y'all people. We make y'all. Y'all come from us. You can't be us. You will never. You're chasing something you'll never, ever get. You'll never be that.
Like, hello? I mean, when the transphobia just comes out, the audacity and just the
Okay, so you guys heard that. And let me first say, I know we're talking about Jess. I know we're talking about, this trans woman in the video. I will be talking about several people in this video, but I want you guys, please just don't focus so much on the actual people, but I want you to instead focus on what I'm saying about the overarching mentality of the groups of people in which we're discussing, including Black women, not just trans women, but Black women, right? I don't know these people. I'm sure I don't agree or disagree with every single thing that they say. Jess Hilarious may say something next week that I don't agree with. So I just want you to know I'm not co signing every single thing she's done or said in the past. Um, I'll just be addressing what appears to be the common thought process from each group of people. So try not to personalize this conversation. So, to the trans women who think like the trans woman Jess addressed, in which there are many of them, because I see a lot of trans women coming out responding and they're like, oh, that's just one trans woman. First of all, can we stop pretending that a lot of y'all don't think this way? Like, the reason why Black women like Jess are now becoming so vocal about this is because it's very common for trans women to come out and tell women, especially Black trans women, to tell Black women, oh, this doesn't define womanhood. Y'all can't be feminine. Y'all can't do this. Y'all can't do that. They're absolutely trying to control our spaces like the typical males that they are. They are biological males. Okay. So that is something that a lot of them have been doing. And so this response is not just, to one person, it's to an overall mentality. Okay. So to those women, the trans women who think like the trans woman in the video, I know y'all want to feel as much like biological women or females as much as possible. And another thing, throughout this whole video, I'm going to be using the term woman and female interchangeably because that's another thing that's getting on my nerves. Oh, well, there's a difference between being a woman and a female. I'm going to use them interchangeably because they go hand in hand. Okay. Let's stop the bullshit. Like, we're going to stop lying here. Being a woman and being a female goes hand in hand for most of us. That is just the way it is. The exceptions don't make the rule. Okay. Um, and I know y'all hate when we say stuff like that, but it's true. Okay. And to the trans women who think like her, trust me, you do not want a period. You do not want to claim periods. I promise you do not want them. Let me tell y'all something. I have spoken, about my period and how it just wreaks havoc on my body every single month. Well, I just found out a couple months ago that I am extremely iron deficient. And this is why it's very important for y'all to go to the doctor. I'm not anemic, but I am extremely iron deficient. And guess why that is? It's because of my period. My period is so heavy every month that it is depleting my iron. Okay. So I'm taking 325 milligrams of iron daily to correct it. Okay. My period, and I've told y'all this in the past, my period gives me the weirdest symptoms, and it has sent me to the doctor over the years because my symptoms are so bad. Even sometimes during ovulation, I can feel when I ovulate. Okay. I have period symptoms when I ovulate. Apparently I'm extremely fertile, and that's what happens to a lot of very fertile women. But I'm now realizing that a lot of my symptoms in the past were due to me being iron deficient. Okay. And I didn't find this out until I changed my PCP earlier this year. And she was the first doctor to order, um, I think they call it an iron studies lab. And, we're not even going to get into how a lot of doctors will, completely overlook things when it comes to Black women or when it comes to younger people they assume are healthy because we don't look, quote unquote, look unhealthy. But, that's a conversation for another day. Yeah, she looked at my blood work and was like, I think you may be iron deficient. I was like, what? I've never been told I'm anemic. And she was like, no, there's a difference. You can be iron deficient and not anemic. So anyway, and I'm not saying this to get like a boo-hoo, oh, so sad, because periods can be much worse than what I go through. for other women. And I've heard horror stories from other women. And I'm not even going to get started on the way I hear a lot of women talk about childbirth. And I'm glad I don't want kids, because if my period hates on me like this, I could only imagine what pregnancy might do to my body. So, I don't even want to find out. And let me tell y'all, I take my hat off to all the mothers who have gone through the process of giving birth, because y'all are out here destroying your bodies, and some of you are even dying during childbirth. And I know for Black women, the maternal mortality rate is even higher than anyone else's. So trust me, trans women, y'all don't want these problems. You don't want these. Yeah, fibroids, that's very common with Black women. Y'all don't want these problems. And I just feel it's really not your place to speak on a woman's reproductive system if you don't have one. Period. It's not your place. And what I don't like is how trans women continuously minimize these experiences that women go through. And they tell us what we can identify with and what we can and can't associate with womanhood when we go through that, and they don't. Okay. And even women who don't have periods and can't have kids, because I know that comes up a lot. Well, what about the women who don't have periods and don't have kids? They still have a reproductive system. It just doesn't work properly. And that can come with its own set of physical and emotional problems that are, again, exclusive to biological women. And I know the next argument is going to be, oh, well, what about trans men? What about non-binary people who have a reproductive system and they don't identify with being women? They are biologically female. And that's exactly my point. As you can see, I don't see trans men coming out talking like this. I don't see even non-binary people coming out talking like this, trying to tell women what we can and cannot associate with womanhood. It's the biological males that are doing it. And that is very telling. That is very telling. I'm even seeing like some like the lesbian studs. I'm even seeing them like, hold on. Now you're doing too much. Because even they know what a period is like. And they like, yeah, no, y'all are doing too much. So this seems to be a biological male problem. In true male fashion, they want to control women. They want to change us in a way that makes them feel better. Yeah, trans men, they ain't out here. Have you heard maybe I'm wrong, but have you heard a trans man talking about their own sperm? And real biological men don't own sperm, they don't own penises. I don't hear trans men out here talking like that. And it's likely because, one, they know men aren't having it. That's the first thing. They know men are not going to allow that as a whole. They're not. And two, it's likely because they are biological women. They just don't have it in them to try to control men in that way. So saying that, oh, it's just it's not a woman thing. It seems to be, all of this seems to be coming from biological men the most. And I know trans women hate when we say that, but y'all are acting like you're assigned gender at birth. You are. And I'm not saying that women can't be controlling, but look around. We live in a patriarchy. Why? Because men as a whole, they're more dominant, they're more controlling than women. Okay? And women especially don't usually try to dominate male spaces. So trans women and trans men, to be honest with you, they're acting like what they were assigned at birth, if you ask me. And Jess Hilarious lumped all trans women together because what that trans woman said in that video is a common thought process in the trans community. I've seen it over and over throughout the years. I've done videos on it. And so I don't know why trans women are pretending that it's not common. And so, as the title says, let's talk about the shade and the intentional misgendering trans women are not only throwing at Jess, but throwing at women in general, especially Black women, because it's very intentional. And the reason I'm doing this video is because even though, I see Black women responding what I would say is appropriately to this, transphobia or not, because I think trans women are full of shit. So I really don't care that black women are responding this way. I still don't really see y'all like zooming in on the right thing. Like a lot of y'all are, some of y'all are catching it, but some of you guys are not. So T.S. Madison, who is a trans woman, she responded to Jess and she said there are so many quote unquote real women that get mistaken for being transgender women. And that's where a lot of the anger comes from. I do hope they take a good look at how transphobia affects all women. And black women, I want you guys to recognize this for what it is. I know a lot of you think that, you know, T.S. Madison is an ally, but you have to remember she is always going to be trans first. Always. Always. She's always going to put transness above women, period. And T.S. Madison is throwing shade here. And she's trying to act like that's not what it is because Jess herself said she's been misgendered, right? But what T.S. Madison is doing is she's hiding her shade behind Jess's experience. And you got gullible black women falling for it and thinking that Madison is truly an ally. What she and other trans women are doing is acting like the biological males that they are, and they're pretty much saying that a lot of black women are masculine and they look like men. I'm going to translate it for you because that's what a lot of them are saying right now. Doesn't that sound familiar? Who else does this? Oh, that's right. Quote unquote cis heterosexual men. Do they not? First thing, Jess wasn't talking nothing about looks. She didn't say y'all look like niggas. She didn't say none of that. She didn't say y'all look like men in wigs. First thing they jumped on was, oh, Jess looks like a man. That's the first thing they did. Because why? That's what males do. They focus on looks. That's what they do. And let me tell y'all something else. And this is going to make a lot of y'all mad, but it is what it is. If we do want to talk about black women look masculine, let me tell you why. It's because a lot of y'all are doing some of these overdone makeup and hair trends that you got from the gays, and it's masculinizing your features. That's the real issue, if you ask me. It's because you're not embracing your natural womanly features. And you've allowed them to convince you that that overdone makeup and hair looks good when it does not. So, if anything, if you're looking masculine at all, it's because you're taking pointers from them. Yeah, the drag queen makeup, y'all need to stop that shit. It's ugly. But as you can see with T.S. Madison, now, anytime a woman criticizes trans women, it'll be because she's quote unquote trans passing. And I put some examples of in here what they're talking about. Yeah, this is just hilarious. Said a male celebrity offered to fly her out after mistaking her for a transgender. So this is what T.S. Madison claimed she was responding to. Oh, I wasn't throwing shade. I was just, responding to what Jess said her own experience was. No, you were throwing shade. And this, I don't know, I guess she's trans. She was in the comments and she said Jess is just mad because she's trans passing. And she thinks that putting trans women down will help separate her from that narrative. What she doesn't understand is that she is equally harming herself in the process, but doesn't have the mental bandwidth to process that. And this idea that so many black women are trans passing, because that is the narrative they're trying to push now. It's like, and y'all need to be aware of that. That is what they're trying to push. And look, there are a lot of us who have never been misgendered, and we feel the same way Jess does. What about us? What about us? I'm sure there's a lot of women in the chat right now who have never been mistaken for a man. I'm a dark-skinned black woman. I've never been mistaken for a man. And so it's like, what about our opinion? Because a lot of us feel like Jess does. Yeah, I don't think Jess looks like a man either. So it's like, and to my understanding, I mean, was that her first time being misgendered? Because again, like if that was just her first time, then that means it's not common. You get what I'm saying? So them trying to make this a thing like more than it is, it's starting to get on my nerves. And I guess those of us who have not been misgendered, I guess we don't count. Our opinion doesn't count because it disrupts the narrative that, it's all these manly black women who are just so intimidated by all these beautiful, more feminine trans women. Like, come on. Y'all need to stop. It's giving desperate. It's giving desperate, and we need to pipe down. And something else is, it just This idea of trans passing, it to me it sounds like an admittance to trans women looking more masculine than the average woman, does it not? So how are they trans and low key using that as an insult? Isn't that a slight against them as trans women? If you're trans passing, then you're automatically saying that most trans are not passing, for as women. Do you get what I mean? So you're indirectly slighting yourselves because the whole thing with trans people is that they want to pass. So if you're using trans passing as an insult for a woman, you're kind of telling on yourself. See, it's not women who need the feminization surgeries. It's biological males who want to be women. And personally, I don't consider Black women being misgendered, transphobia. I consider it misogynoir because misgendering is not exclusive to trans women. That could happen to a non-trans woman, like a butch lesbian. It happens to them all the time. They get misgendered all the time. So that's not exclusive to trans people. But for the typical everyday Black women, I don't think we go through that as much as trans women are claiming. I think they are exaggerating the numbers on that to make themselves feel better. That's what I think. And they keep bringing up this woman. I guess a woman was unalived because she was mistaken as a trans woman. She was mistaken to be a trans woman. But again, that's not a typical occurrence in the lives of most Black women. We're not over here, most of us are not over here getting harassed because people think we're men. Like that, that's not a common experience for us. So, and even if it was, like, even if, a Black woman is misgendered, because I know that happens to a lot of tall women and muscular women. Even if it does happen to some Black women, it still doesn't change that all women, regardless of how masculine or feminine they are, we are allowed to associate periods and reproductive organs with womanhood because that is the experience of most women. Exceptions don't make the rule. So it just seems to me that they took this one opportunity to call a Black woman masculine because they were offended. And I would respect them a little bit more if they just owned it. Just say that you're mad that Jess said you were mentally ill, and you wanted to get your lick back. Just say that. Don't pretend that, oh, transphobia affects us all. You were saying that girl looked like a man. You throwing shade. That's what this is. That's what this is. But just because Serena Williams and Sierra and Michelle Obama or any other tall or muscular Black woman, just because they were misgendered, doesn't mean it happens to most of us. And it doesn't mean trans women and women are exactly the same. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. And see, that's what this all boils down to. They want to try to use every opportunity they can to blur the lines and make us exactly the same when we're not. And that's okay. Yeah, it's misogynoir. And usually when people call Black women men, people are deliberately misgendering them. They know Michelle Obama ain't no man. They know Serena Williams is not a man. They know Sierra is not a man. They don't look like men. Come on now. So, it's projection at this point, and it's getting old, in my opinion. And I just think that Black women need to learn how to recognize the shade when you see it. Okay. They're projecting. They're trying to make themselves feel more like biological women, and it won't work. Yeah, T in the Till Kitchen said they be mad and lashing out on women because they're not passing enough. That's what it is. And there's so much focus on what they consider to be Jess's traumas behind being called trans, and oh, that's why she's lashing out against trans women. But every time we try to get honest about what the traumas of Black trans women are and what their insecurities are that make them attack Black women, we're labeled transphobic and we're silenced. And see, this is precisely why I kept telling y'all back in the day when y'all were dragging me for this. This is why the distinction needs to be made. Because this is not new. I told y'all several times years ago that it's not new. I have a gay male best friend. I've been to the gay clubs, been to all the balls. I've heard them throw shots at women and vice versa. I've seen them embraced by women and vice versa. But this whole, oh, we're all united and we never attack quote unquote cis women, all this, kumbaya stuff, it's fake. It's being exaggerated. There will always be a divide. And trans women have always been disrespectful, regardless of if a woman was transphobic or not. They've always been competitive. They've always been self first. And it's just wild to me that Black women are just now figuring this out. It's been right in your face the whole time. The whole time. And notice, even like with T.S. Madison, the trans women, they're responding more to Jess than they are the trans woman. And as they say, oh, we don't all agree with that trans woman. But they're attacking Jess more than they're responding to her for starting all of this shit. So they're always going to defend trans women first because that's who they are. So Black women, you need to follow suit and do the same. And this has nothing to do with basic human rights. Yes, trans people deserve that. And I'm tired of them hiding behind transphobia and, the unaliving of trans women. Stop hiding your harassment and your bullying behind that. We're not going to keep coddling you because of that. If you keep being disrespectful, we're not going to do that. So this is another trans woman who decided to post this meme and make fun of Jess, again, misgendering her. This has 5 million views, people. 5 million views. You know how they always say, oh, we don't have any power. We're a minority of the population. Minority of population is getting laws passed to cater to them. They're getting all of these views. They're making a lot of noise despite them being the minority. So we gonna dead that. Minority or not, you're making a lot of noise and you're being disruptive and you're being disrespectful. And so if we did, and let's read what Angelica says. She says the trans girls are going to show Jess a new way to bleed. We call it reading for blood. And I promise you girls don't want no parts of this. I've been trying to keep the girls calm, but it's only so much I can do. Y'all been like this, Angelica. This is nothing new. You've been quote unquote reading for blood. You've been talking about Black women's coochie and how it smells like fish. I did a video on a trans woman a long time ago where she was talking about how men always tell them that our pussy stinks. So it's like, come on, y'all been competing, you've been talking shit. This is nothing new. You've been reading. And y'all don't want no parts of this. I've been trying to keep the girls calm, but it's only so much I can do. What you mean? You're going to come out and act like the males that you are? You've been acting like that. You've been reading for blood. You've been acting like sassy males. That's how you've been acting. And now women, not cis women, but women aren't tolerating it anymore. We're not. And if we did what Angelica Ross did and we showed a trans woman without the makeup and the wigs and the surgeries, oh my God. Oh my God. We would be called transphobic. We'd be ran off the internet if we did that. Let's see you, Angelica, without the makeup, without the surgeries, without the feminization. Let's see you without that and what you look like, without the wig. Let's see what you look like. Let's see what most of y'all look like. Now, if I called Angelica by her assigned name at birth, that would be transphobic, right? And this is why I told y'all we need to stop coddling them. What T.S. Madison, Angelica, all the rest of these trans women are doing, they're projecting. And here's what I want to say to trans women and just trans people in general, but definitely Black trans women. You need to come to terms with the fact that there will always be differences between you and women. There is nothing you could do about that. And I know y'all really struggle with that. I know you do. But there will always be a difference. Jess still has a period. She still has a uterus. She still has a vagina that you have to pay for. She still has all those things. So, I mean, you're just going to have to deal with that. And, they like to bring up science, but even a lot of the science, it says that they aren't exactly like women. And I know that a lot of y'all niggas don't like to read, okay? But it's important to research this stuff and kind of know what you're talking about. There's a lot of science out there that says the brains of trans people are structurally different from both male and female. And I talked about before on my channel that there are also studies that say their brains are structurally the same as the gender they identify with. So the science is actually saying a lot depending on what studies that you look at, right? And like I said years ago about them, personally, I think trans people are somewhere in the middle when it comes to gender. I don't believe that gender is necessarily binary either. I think that some people fall somewhere in the middle. Now, do I think that they are the majority? No, I think they are the exception to the rule. And I know that some countries outside of the United States, trans people are legally considered a third gender. Is that in somewhere in Asia? I forget where that is. But they are defined as a third gender. Red Elephant said, "This is why I'll never understand the black feminists putting the trans woman's plight above their own. It makes no sense and it's not reciprocated. It's not. And we're finding that out now. Feminists real quiet." I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're gonna say something at some point, but they real quiet right now. Oh, is it Thailand or India? Okay, I knew it was somewhere over there in Asia. And I'm pretty sure that if you categorize them differently, that has its own set of problems. But to me, that's the most accurate description. They are a third gender. But either way, I'm not here to argue the actual science on trans people. I'm not here to argue about pronouns. um I'll call them what they want to be called, but we're not going to act like it's just no difference. That's what we're not going to act like. And I think that black women still need to make the distinction. And they remind me a lot of biracial people. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but I don't know. Like, they remind me a lot of them. It's like they want to fight so bad to be one thing when they're not. you know, you're just, and that's okay. No, I think intersex is when you have multiple, you have parts, you have male and female parts. That's intersex. So we're talking about people who are biologically one sex and identify as the other. Usually their brains are structurally not really, it doesn't fit anywhere. We're talking about the structure of their brains, not their genitalia. So I know it can be a little confusing, but that's really what it is. I mean, because if you're walking around as a person and you were biologically born one way and your brain looks another, then you're not, you know what I'm saying? You're not one thing. That automatically means you're not one thing. So I tend to agree with the science that says they're just another gender. There's something different. Yeah, intersex is different from being trans. Yeah. That's why I said do the research, y'all. Read about it. They're doing all kind of studies on gender and sex and all that stuff. So I'm not here to argue that. I'm not here to argue it. But I don't like the exaggerations. I don't like making the exceptions the rule. I don't like them hiding behind transphobia and the deaths of trans women. I don't like that. Trans women, again, trans people, they deserve basic human rights. I've always said that. But for most trans women, especially in these kind of conversations, it's not about human rights. It's not about them getting unalived by men. And we know that because notice how the trans women focus more on women than they actually do the men who are unaliving them and who want to keep them their, dirty little secret. They're going off more about us than they are the men. The trans women on social media, I hear them talk about two main things: white supremacy and quote unquote cis women. I don't really hear them dragging men like the way they drag women, especially black women. So we know it's not about men unaliving y'all. Y'all still screwing them. Y'all still competing with us for them. So it's not about them. So don't be hiding behind that. It's bullshit. And I wish they would stop doing that to mask the real issue here. It's disgusting. Stop hiding behind the deaths of those trans women. It's a silencing tactic. And what's really at the bottom of this is they want those men who hide them to publicly claim them like they do women. And I'm not gonna coddle them, because that's what it turns into. Now we're not allowed to criticize them even when they deserve it because they're being unalive. When our femicide rate as Black women, our plight is through the roof. Like, you know, that has never stopped them from saying shit about us. So no, I'm not gonna let you hide behind that. And one thing I can't stand the most about the trans woman community, the Black trans woman community, is that they hide their bullying and harassment behind transphobia. It's sick. And I've called out the fellow Black women who do it, who hide their bullying behind Black femicide. I don't like that shit either. So I'm not about to spare trans women and walk on eggshells for them either. I'm not about to do it. And like I told y'all before, everybody gets it on this channel. Everybody gets it. Nobody is exempt. If you doing fuckery, I'm gonna call you out. And something else I keep hearing from these trans women is, oh, you know, Black women or women, your womanhood is so fragile, right? If your womanhood is that fragile, then how can someone take it from you? And to me, that's a dumb thing to say, because by their own logic, this also applies to them. If you guys are really women and you're not fragile, then why does it bother you so much when women rightfully associate periods and reproductive systems with womanhood? When most women experience that, why does that bother you so much if you're so secure in your womanhood? What you see is not quote unquote fragility. What you see is women, and Black women especially, finally fighting back against people who are attempting to control us. And let me ask y'all, trans women, how long did you think you were going to be around women, Black women especially, as strong-minded as we are? How long did you think you were going to be able to be around us, come in our spaces, pretend to be an ally, while secretly and openly thinking you're better than us, saying you're better than us, and then on top of that, trying to tell us what to do? How long did you think? I mean, it's about time. Black women are late, really. Kublai says, Hope Giselle says she gonna run up on whoever got problems with trans. Oh, and that's another thing, baby. They ain't scared to fight a woman. They'll fight you real quick. They real quick to put their male hands on you. So that's why I said, and just considering that their strength in general, like that alone says that they're different from us. It just is what it is. I don't know why this even has to be an argument. I mean, I know why, but it's getting ridiculous. It's getting out of control. And Black women, you're finally starting to get that these people are competing with you. Even if you're not competing with them, because that was a lot of the criticism I got years ago when I was doing videos on trans women. They were like, oh, well, Chrissy, a trans woman doesn't threaten my womanhood. I'm not competing with them. I'm like, they compete with you, though. Black women don't understand competition. I mean, and I'm going to talk more about this because we don't understand competition in any capacity. Not with other women, not trans women. Like, we don't understand when somebody's playing in our faces. They're competing with you. And only group of people who I feel don't understand competition like that is us. But I'll give us some credit. I'm glad we're finally getting to a place where enough is enough, and more Black women are refusing to tolerate this. but they are extremely, they're getting out of control. And another thing I want to talk about was the femininity discourse. And I touched on this in the past. But according to Black trans women, especially dark-skinned women, Black women in general, but especially dark-skinned women, we don't fit the Eurocentric standard of femininity, the standard of beauty. So therefore, we cannot be perceived as feminine. That's what they say. And so they say it's stupid for us to hang on to these ideas of femininity. It's stupid for us to try to enhance our femininity. It's stupid for us to do any of that, right? Because we'll never fit the standard of beauty. But also, according to trans women, they are more feminine than us. Because I keep saying that a lot. Well, y'all mad because we more feminine than y'all. Huh? So you can be feminine, but we can't? This is something I never understood. Like they're trying to, and this is another competitive thing that they do, y'all. And y'all need to understand the tactics. You need to see it for what it is. Like they're telling you, oh, don't worry about being feminine. Don't worry about, playing up your femininity because you're never going to reach the standard of beauty. Meanwhile, on the other side, they're doing everything they can to feminize themselves and look even better than you. Everything that they can. They're taking your pictures to the surgeon and they're saying, I want to look like this. And then they're coming back and telling you, oh, well, femininity is patriarchal and we need to dismantle the patriarchy. Femininity is not real. It's a social construct. Y'all need to see the game that's being played on y'all. This is some stupid, dumb shit, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Phoebe says a lot of biracials and Black trans women are the same in the sense that they're trying to erase Black women's identities. When we speak up, we're told we're hateful. Exactly. That's why I said there's a lot of parallels, right? But, if femininity is patriarchy, then why are trans women clinging to it so hard? Black women, you need to understand this. Trans women are trying to get you to stop defining the term so they can be the face of it. And they can lie and say that's not what they're doing. That is absolutely what they're doing. We see y'all. We see what y'all are doing. Laverne Cox, she tried that bullshit on her podcast, and I never got the chance to come and talk about it. But on one podcast, and she was talking to a Black feminist, and it was all about dismantling the patriarchy and how Black women will never fit into the standard of femininity and will never fit Eurocentric femininity ideals, and therefore femininity advice won't work. Basically shading my femininity series for Black women. And in another podcast Laverne had, where she was on there with men, she was gushing and low-key bragging about some man telling her that she was more feminine than the biological woman that he's dealt with. So that is something that trans women will do. They will try to convince you that femininity is not important while they really put the most effort into theirs. And it's not just about survival, because I know that's a common response. Oh, well, we're being feminine to survive. No, you're being feminine to get men. That's that's your primary reason for doing that, for playing up your femininity. You want to look more passing to men. What a gem says, never come on the internet looking not put together. These imitators have a deep resentment towards us because straight men don't want them. Peep it. Yeah. That's why I don't give them nothing. I wouldn't give them nothing if I were y'all. It's the same way I feel about non-Black women. I don't want to wear their hair. I don't want them to look at me and think I want to look like them in any capacity. I don't want them to think I want to be anything like them. Give them nothing. Yeah, that's what Laverne Cox said. I mean, she I didn't listen to the whole podcast. I'll probably go back and listen to it, but I just remember hearing her like, yeah, and the men I've dealt with, they say, because she said something like this. It's not verbatim, but she was like, and the men that I've come across, they say because women, they have kids and they do all this work, around the house and with the kids, that we look more feminine than them. And trans women are much more feminine. And she was saying it in a way you could tell she was happy about it. She was proud of it. So they really get a kick out of that when trans amorous men tell them that they're more feminine than women. Meanwhile, they're telling you that femininity is patriarchy and you shouldn't try to be feminine. So you need to peep the game that's being played on you. You need to stop falling for that shit. And a lot of women are. I saw Amanda Seals, she's fallen for, she's drank the Kool-Aid or whatever. And she's trying to convince Black women that we're wrong. And I'm like, girl, you be coming on the internet looking like a mess anyway. So it's like, it be them type of women that get on the internet just looking any kind of way. Of course you're gonna tell us to not play up our femininity. Look how you present yourself. So you gotta look who's talking to. And to the other women who don't present that way, and they actually try to, play up their femininity and they try to be cute on the internet, and they're spewing this bullshit that the trans women spew. Like I said in my last live stream, I think that is their way of minimizing the competition. Just like the trans women do it, they're doing it too. Women are competitive. It does not matter if they're trans or biological. They're all competitive. So for I'm just saying, don't let anybody to convince you not to stay on your A game and not to aspire to be the best that you can be. If you want to be a traditionally feminine woman, don't let anybody tell you that that doesn't work, because it will. It may not work as good as when a white woman does it or a mixed woman does it, but it will still work. And, trans women know that. And that's why they feminize themselves. They know it works. They're just trying to convince you that it doesn't. And that's why they're full of shit. And I have very little respect for a lot of them, most of them, because they're not telling the truth. And this is very similar to how white women, they will jump on TikTok, they'll denounce the patriarchy, oh, pro-feminism and men ain't shit. They'll talk all of that shit and then log off and cook dinner for their bread-winning patriarchal husbands who pay most of the damn bills. And that was, y'all remember that video I did about that TikTok wife? Same shit. That's what the white women do. That's what trans women are trying to do to y'all. Trans women are telling you that you will never be feminine, but they themselves are still aspiring to femininity. They're still aspiring to look as close to you as possible. They're still getting the feminization surgeries. They're still trying to look as passing as possible. They're still trying to be more feminine than you. And you're sitting here letting them convince you to stop enhancing your femininity, because you'll never fit the Eurocentric definition of femininity. And they won't either. They won't either. But guess what? It's not stopping them from using femininity to their advantage. It's only a problem when you do it as a woman. And and then they say there's no competition. And this is not me, I want to be clear. This is not me trying to compete with them for men. I'm just telling you that they're competing with you. Because like I've said several times, I think that there are enough men for all of us. I'm not getting ready to fight no trans woman or no woman over a man. Like, I don't give a shit about none of that. My issue is y'all trying to tell women what the fuck to do and try to come in our spaces and dictate what we associate with who we are. No, absolutely not. Happy birthday, Princess Lioness. Happy 21st birthday. Oh, on August 2nd. Okay. The Leo's in the building. Happy birthday, boo. Everybody say happy birthday to Princess Lioness. Yeah, it's a very competitive thing. And here's the thing. Because I hear them say a lot, well, if it was more acceptable, men would choose trans women over quote unquote cis women. And The only reason they deal with y'all and not us is because we can't give them children. One of them actually was like, oh, well, if trans women could have children, it'd be over. It'll be over if trans women can have children. And so they always find a way to remind you that, or to try to make it seem like that the only reason men are choosing us over them is because, we can bear children. Like, this is the thing, like, this is what they're doing. And you know what? For the sake of the argument, let's just say that that is true, right? At that point, trans women, you've positioned yourself as a competitor. You're saying that you're better than us. So that means you're going to get treated like any other bitch who comes up in the room saying you're better than us. Why are you expecting Black women to have zero pushback to you when in so many words that you're saying that you're better than us and men want you more than us? I just wish that trans women would own their shit. I just wish they would own their shit. This is about y'all wanting more open access to men as opposed to being their dirty little midnight secrets. And you're taking that out on women. That is what's happening here. You need to take that up with these clown ass niggas. And I'm specifically talking to trans women, Black trans women. Take it up with them, because you know what? I agree with you. I do believe a good amount of Black men are trans amorous. I do believe a good amount of them like men, trans women and men and gay men. Why you think, they're going around, Black women are, and I think somebody brought it up in the last live stream where somebody had came out and said that he likes getting his ass ate. I know Trick Daddy did. It was somebody else though, some other Black man. And so now Black women are, advertising themselves. You got the Sukihanas who are out there. Oh yeah, I eat ass, or whatever. Not saying that's exclusive to gay men, but you know what I mean. A lot of them like they booty played with. And so, so like, I know I'm not in denial about men in general. I know a lot of them like trans women. I know a lot of them are trans amorous. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So this ain't about the men, but you need to take your issues up with them. If you have a problem with them not claiming, you take that up with them. Because let me tell you something, Black women can't control them. We can't even control how they treat us. So we can't tell them to stop hiding, y'all. We can't do that. They're going to have to want to do it on their own. You got to take that up with them niggas, not us. Yeah, it's a lot of DL dudes out here. And I don't want y'all to think it's just Black men, but we're talking about Black men in this instance. Because non-Black men, they be fucking around with trans women too. But I think that the trans women in the non-Black community, especially the white community, I think those men are a little bit more open to it. And I don't know if it's, the church culture that has the Black men wanting to hide it more. I don't know what it is, girl. But yeah, a lot of men like trans women. Spunky Naturally once says trans amorous got me dead. Yeah, I didn't know the term for it in the past, but I think that's the term, right? Trans amorous. Yeah, Malik Yoba, he came out and said that he, was attracted to trans women. You know what I don't like that they do though? And gay men do this too. Gay people do this too. Like, it's not even a gender thing with this, but I don't like how gay people be trying to act like everybody's gay, or the trans women try to act like every man is trans amorous. Yeah, it's men who are attracted to y'all, but it's not every single man. Get over yourself. That's like me saying that every man likes women, when that's not true. There are men who don't like women. That's like me saying every woman is secretly gay. No, every woman is not secretly gay. Every woman don't want to eat coochie. That's not true. It just looks desperate when y'all try to make everybody in the world like y'all. It's not always true. And let me tell you something else. It's very easy to be attracted to someone at face value. I've been attracted to a passing trans man before that I didn't know was trans, that I saw online. I was like, oh, he's cute. And then I found out he was trans. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I didn't know they were female. But it's like, after that, would I be in a romantic relationship with one? No, that's not my preference. I prefer biological men. And there's nothing wrong with me preferring biological men. Just like there's nothing wrong with a man preferring a biological woman. Or hell, a biological man. Maybe he wants a real man and not a trans man. That's okay too. Yeah, there are straight men who only want real vagina, despite maybe initially being attracted to a passing trans woman. Nobody's arguing that some of y'all are passing and some of y'all look good and y'all are attracted to men. That's It's not that serious. But I just think this thing that trans women do to try to shade women by saying men only want women because we're able to have kids, y'all look pressed, you look insecure, and you look desperate. Just like there are men like Malik Yoba who genuinely prefer trans women, there are men who genuinely prefer women. Get over it. Like, it's okay. It's okay. But just understand, we cannot control them. This idea that, because this is a common thing too, and I touched on this in the past, but this idea that, women are controlling men and telling them to unalive trans women or shun trans women is wild, because we can't control what they do. We can't control what they do to us. We can raise them to be the most, or encourage them, or raise them, if there are sons or whatever, we can encourage them to be the most open-minded people, but we cannot make them choose y'all or claim y'all or whatever. We can't make them do that. So I feel like there needs to be more conversation happening with those men. If you're going to still screw them and be their little late night creep, their little sneaky link, then you need to be able to talk to them too. And furthermore, it's men who told us to stop being so inclusive with trans women from the very beginning. It's men who did that. I'm not saying there aren't any transphobic women, but there has been a lot of men, especially black men, who were like, why y'all letting them men with wigs on in your spaces? So in my opinion, women as a group, especially black women, we have actually been too nice to y'all, myself included. Because I did have that trans woman up here that one time, and she explained herself or whatever. I was going off on her and she apologized and went right back on the internet talking shit. And I was like, see, I try to give you the benefit of the doubt because you apologize, but you back to your shenanigans. So even I've been too lenient with them. I've coddled them a little too much. Now I've been very honest with them, but even I've coddled them. So, what I'm saying to trans women, don't try to blame women for men treating y'all badly. Take that up with them. There's only so much we can do. I want men to be themselves. I want them to stop being down low and be who they are. But we can't make them do shit. What did Jim says? Nobody is competing with the bus warriors, not the bus warriors. When they can cause a flood down there on command naturally, I'll give a damn. It's giving dab, dry a bus. What? What? Wait, what? When they can cause a flood down there on command. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Girl, you crazy. It's just funny the way you worded that whole thing. Latino Boy says, Chrissy, this also sounds very parallel to how the Jays will scream anti-Semitism. Yep. When you question anything they say or call out their manipulation tactics. Yeah. They've made it to where, we can't criticize them at all without being called transphobic. Yeah, she was crazy for that comment. And thank y'all for the super chats. Thank you for everybody who sent a super chat. And another thing I want to show is they are actually trying to get Jess Hilarious fired. I think this is a gay guy. He says, want to make a difference at get Jess the mess off the Breakfast Club. And telling you instructions on how to get her fired. So, they keep saying, "Oh, we're a minority of the population. We have no power." But look at what they're doing. They do have power. They're using their power. They're using, the LGBT status and the power of their community to come together and try to get her fired. Not saying it's going to work, but they're trying. So they know they have power despite being a minority of the population. And again, like I said earlier, there are literal laws being made right now to protect them. They're good. They're a more protected class at this point than Black women, I feel like. The LGBT. And if not, they're making their way towards being that. Thank you, Golden Child, for the super chat. And I told y'all before, and look, y'all know my predictions always come true. Usually they come true. But it's only a matter of time before they start putting them in the mainstream in place of Black women more and more. I know they already had Laverne Cox play Casey Duke, who is a real life Black woman. The movie's called Inventing Anna. So they already did it with her. And I predict that they're going to get a Black trans woman to play a prominent Black woman figure in a biopic or something in the future. Just watch, mark my words. I'm usually never wrong about this type of shit. It might not happen until 5 years from now, but that's where we're headed if Black women don't put their foot down on this shit. So it doesn't take a larger population of people to make a huge impact. And we see this, with, very small percentage of rich people who have the most wealth in the country, controlling the bottom. So it doesn't take a big, large amount of people to have power, over a large group of people. So y'all think that, oh, they can't do nothing. They can't do nothing. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. And all it takes is for, them to throw up a bunch of, or even again, small minority. It can be one or two trans women. Throw them up to represent Black women in the media, in the mainstream. Do you know what that will do to your image that's already bad? That's already, in the deficit, taking jobs away from Black women who already don't get enough, jobs in the entertainment industry. So it doesn't take a lot of them to make a huge impact. And I want Black women to understand that. That's why I've always done these videos, because I'm like, y'all are making a mistake. And at the end of the day, when it comes to them, they're going to put themselves first. What I'm saying might sound mean, but what they're doing, they're putting themselves first. They're putting themselves before you. Do you think tomorrow, if all trans women could replace Black women in the media, they wouldn't take it? Come on now, y'all not being fucking realistic about how people are and how they're always going to put their needs first. Only reason why trans women haven't fully done it yet is because they can't. So Tired says, I already think, yeah, maybe so. Kublai says, should we stop calling them women then to gatekeep or no? I don't personally, I get why people say that. Personally, I think there's a way to still make the separation without calling them men or whatever. Trans women is what they are. Trans women. Trans women and women, that's the difference. They're already separated. We already know the difference. But I think gatekeeping what makes us women is the best way to do it. Like, with the whole thing with the periods and the reproductive system. That's a way to make the distinction. I don't think it's that hard to do. Personally. Y'all can do what y'all want. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. And I see why y'all say that. I see why y'all say we should make the distinction to stop including them, because this is how they're acting. But I think we need to send a message loud. Either way you do it, calling them men or whatever, trans women, either way you do it, you need to make the distinction loud enough so people can know they don't represent us. Don't put them in the place of us. They are absolutely something different. And I think that Black women are finally starting to do that. Disha says, I don't, oh, shoot. I missed it. Where'd it go? Yeah, Eureka says, "Yep, just like mixed women replace black women." Yeah, and as you can see, mixed women are also a small minority. Well, they're a smaller minority than black women, right? And look how they've been able to erase us in the media. So it doesn't take a lot of people. Okay, here it goes. Disha says, "I don't think we should include the word women at all because they're already delusional." Maybe you guys are right about that. Maybe I'm still being a little too nice. Maybe I am. I'm just going by the science. And, I do believe in white zaddy science. I do believe in the white man science. I don't believe there's just two genders. So I feel like they should be a third gender. What a Jim says, allowing them the term woman gave them the audacity. Had we just called them trans, the ambiguity would have. Okay, I understand what y'all are saying. And I somewhat agree with that, right? But I think allowing them into the space is what gave them the audacity. It's not just a matter of calling them women. It's the way y'all went so hard for trans women and trans people and the LGBT. It's the way y'all went so hard. And some of y'all are still going so hard for them. That's the problem. You're giving them the mic in your space. That's the issue. Okay, y'all want to argue with me in science? Do the reading. That's all I can say. I didn't make this up. I'm telling you what I learned from the studies. I'm not here to argue with you or defend trans women. I don't give a fuck. I'm just telling you what y'all did wrong. It goes beyond just calling them women. It's giving them the mic in your space. You can still call them trans women and let them have their own space. It's not that hard. Not the mandacity. I'm done with y'all. Glam Glam, stop being fair. I doubt white women are this inclusive. It goes both ways with them. Like, I've definitely seen white women out there picketing though. I done seen them out there marching like trans women are men, and yeah, so they're a little bit more ruthless than us. I will give them that. Yeah, I don't see what the issue is. And I think T.S. Madison, right? I think T.S. Madison did say that, trans women were in their own lane. But at the same time, you're trying to come through and be like, oh, well, transphobia affects all of us. They're still trying to make us the same. And it's like, no, if you're in your own lane, you're in your own lane. Winter Solstice says, stop calling them she, her, calling them. Okay, that I like that better because they're to me, they're a third gender. So I'd rather them be called they, them. Like I said, I'm not trying to control Black women's language at this point because they have completely overstepped their boundaries. So I say whatever feels most comfortable for you. But either way it goes, no matter what you call them, you need to stop giving them the mic. Period. You need to stop going up there and championing them when talking about women. Keep the issues focused on you, yourself, and women like you. You don't need to be out there. Oh, and trans women and the LGBT and people of color. No, Black women. If you want to advocate for somebody, just advocate for you. Advocate for yourself. Biological women, period. That's it. Biological black women. White women have died. Dylan, I don't know who that is. Who are they? Are they trans? I don't know who that is. I'm assuming they're trans, but um, yeah, they got what's the Jenner dude's name? I mean, but even he is like, or she, whatever. Even the Jenner, what's his name? Bruce Jenner. I forget his trans name. But even she be up there like, y'all trans people are full of shit. But they still have her too, though. So it's not that white people um don't have trans people in the mainstream. It's not that they don't, but I just don't hear white trans women, for example, I don't hear them trying to dominate the white woman spaces like black trans women do ours. Again, like I said in the last live stream, I don't pay a lot of attention sometimes when it comes to what the whites are doing. So I could be very wrong about this. But it just seems like black trans women are way more vocal about trying to control black women. And I think part of it is because we've allowed them too much say in our spaces. I really think that's what it is. Kublai says, I stand with J.K. Rowling. She has spoke out against them for years. She showed up to her home and threatened her. What? I heard of that. Okay. Thank you for your super chat. I mean, am I right about that? Or, yeah, Caitlyn Jenner. That's what I meant. Yeah, they are more aggressive. Yeah. Unfortunately, that is true. Dang, I keep okay, where is it at? Y Turner says they are more aggressive, just like the Nakers. Yes, that is true. And then they wonder why black women just want to refer to them as men because that's how they're acting. I have to get more familiar with J.K. Rowling. Oh yeah, yeah. White women are feeling the pressure in sports. That is very true. But at least they are taking a stance. A lot of them are taking a stance like, no, you can't compete in women's arena. You can't compete with other women when it comes to sports. Yeah, because it was that one track star who, when the trans woman track star who was competing with men at one point and was ranking very low, but as soon as he started competing with women, he won the title or something, or he won a trophy. And so, like, yeah, the white community, they're starting to be like, hey, you're doing too much. So I think, when we compare that, I kind of take that back because when we compare the white community has allowed them to get a little bit too comfortable too. Because if they didn't, then they wouldn't be competing in sports. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think women as a whole, maybe we're being women. We're allowing people to infiltrate, and males, biological males, we're allowing them to infiltrate and take over. Now, I'm not saying I do think maybe white women are a little bit more ruthless, but yeah, if y'all don't let them get that far to where now you got to protest for them to not be able to compete with other white women or women in general, then shit has gotten too far. They should have their own category, even in sports. Why not have a transgender category? Why not have a category for a third gender? Yes, another form of misogyny. I agree. Right to Freedom Girl says this is what unintended consequences look like. I 100% agree. I don't think that women thought it would get this bad, but this is what we do. Miss Honeylove says I blame women for pacifying them and including them. They are not women, they are men in dresses. Yeah, we have done too much, y'all. Rampaging Chickmunt says I think the Olympics are working on the separate category. Yeah, I think I read that somewhere too. As they should. As they should. Is the US working on making them a third gender like other countries have or no? Is anybody in this country in the US, do they recognize them as a third gender? Are any states in the US like that? Does anybody know? Melissa says Candace Owen talks about this often. I don't agree with everything she says, but she's 100% correct on the trans agenda. Yeah, it's getting out of hand if you ask me. And nobody is saying y'all don't deserve basic human rights, but all this trying to control women, no, 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 ma'am, no, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Trans women think they're more attractive than us. I told y'all. I told y'all this years ago. Over there getting surgeries, laying on the table, getting cut open to get a set of perky titties, and then turning around and making fun of women who have naturally hanging breasts, who have breastfed and everything, and saying they look better. It's insane. It's insane. Like it's gotten out of hand. That's really bad. It's really bad. It's like when you start hating on the very same thing you want to become and look like, it's a problem. And I'm just trying to tell women, and especially get Black women to understand it's not going to get any better. They're going to keep competing with you. So, you can try to be all inclusive. You can try to be kumbaya and keep coddling them and, thinking it's going to get better and they're going to listen and not be as hard on you. But it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. So maybe y'all are right. Maybe we shouldn't refer to them as women. I'm going to start saying they, them. Because again, I do believe in a third gender. Now, and when I say I believe in a third gender, I'm not trying to make that the norm. I'm not trying to make that like the majority. I don't think it's the majority. I think that most people are going to identify with either being male or female, man or woman. But do I think there are gray areas? And yeah, I do. But am I trying to, force that onto people or make that the norm? Or just because there's a third gender, then, 60% of the population are third gender? No. And I feel like that's what trans people are trying to do. Trans women, Black trans women especially. Miss Truth Teller says, y'all should listen to Blair White. She's a trans woman who is against the idea that trans are real women. Some trans women will tell the truth. They will tell the truth and be like, we belong in a completely separate category. But the others who have not yet come to terms with the fact that they are not like women, they are not the same as women, those are the ones who have a problem. If you got a wop and not a dab, and not, okay, girl. What a gym is so funny. Yeah, Flame and Roll. Yeah, but I heard because when I was looking at Angelica Ross's tweets, Angelica was saying that Flame used to be like against women and used to make the same jokes. I think Flame said that Cheryl Underwood looked like a man or something and then got attacked by women. And ever since then, he's been like, you know, pretending to be an ally. I don't know how true that is. I have heard, Flame tell the truth about trans women. But I don't know, maybe he really just changed his mind. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, all of this, here's what I want Black women to do. Like, no matter what you decide to call them, stop giving them the mic in your space. Stop trying to take up for their plight. Stop trying to act like you're exactly like them and put them in the same category as yourself. and advocate for yourself. Period. Like that will make the biggest difference in the world. Like y'all are doing now, you need to keep going. Keep doing this. Felice says it's possible to speak never using pronouns. That's what I do. Yeah, I haven't got that good at it yet. I ain't gonna lie. I haven't gotten very good at saying they, them. So Tatalicious says TS and Flame still have penises. A lot of them do. And a lot of them like using their penis. They don't want to be women for real. That's another thing y'all don't understand. They like throwing that dick around just like any other male. And y'all talking about trans women are women. They just like us. They deserve it. Girl, y'all look dumb. Nah, you says when a person calls me sis, I call them sir. Thankfully, I've never had anybody call me that in real life. I don't use the term sis. I don't. Yeah, and then they fighting over black men. I don't know if y'all haven't got the memo, but it's a section of us over here. We don't give a fuck about competing for black men anymore. We're done with that. So trans women, if you want these niggas, take them. There are certain sections of black women, we not even trying to date black men at all anymore. So you can have them, but you ain't gonna tell me about my body parts. You ain't gonna tell me how to identify. You ain't gonna tell me what to associate with my womanhood. You're overstepping your boundaries. Now, if you want the niggas, take them. We don't want that. There's a lot of us who don't. So this definitely ain't about that. Not over here anyway. I know some black women feel that way, but I'm beyond that. And I'm gonna talk about this in another video, but it's a lot of black men out there when responding to my videos, they for some reason think that I'm still trying to get them to be attracted to black women or care about. I don't give a shit about none of that. I'm trying to get black women to explore their options. And there are some black men on this platform who are so narcissistic, so full of themselves, that they think me mentioning them or telling black women to get away from them, then that somehow means that I'm trying to, I don't know, look for their opinion or consider their opinion and what they like and who they find attractive. That's the old Chrissy. I don't give a shit about that no more. So, you can keep your response videos. We don't care nothing about that. We trying to get black women on the right path. We trying to get black women to advocate for self, to expand their options, to live in luxury, to live the soft life, to, do whatever it is they want to do that makes them happy, to live well. That's what we trying to do over here. If y'all want to fuck trans women on the low, if you want to fuck only light-skinned women, if you want dick in your ass, if you want your ass licked, then you need to go to the Sukihanas of the world. You need to go to the black women who still give a shit about competing for you, because that's not the black women over here. I just want to make that clear, just for anybody who is confused. And I don't think most of them are, but some of these weird dudes that keep making response videos, they're confused. And so I just want to make that clear. Okay? Thank you. I'm done. I'll catch up with y'all later. There are some other things I want to talk about, but I'll save that for the next video. So thank you for listening. Like, share, and subscribe. Catch up with you next time. Bye.
To see my exclusive content, visit Chrissy VIP at ChrissyOnline.com. And be sure to join the mailing list for updates on future videos. The links are in the description box. Please like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.